Hello and welcome to another episode of my Kerbal Space Program Let's Play in the JNSQ Planet Pack. I didn't really talk much about this rocket I'm using in the previous episode. It's basically just a cluster of little fuel tanks with Vesuvius engines added into the game by the Cryogenic Engines mod. And if I remember correctly, those engines are supposed to be Kerbal versions of the, I forget what it's called. Oh, Vulcane engines used on ESA's Ariane 5 rocket. Which is kind of funny to me, because, I'll be using the American flag a lot in this, because, it's going to be on all my rockets. It's going to be the flag I use when I plant flags in this series. And yeah, I'm using a rocket with European engines. And it's gonna get worse throughout this video, just wait. But yeah, you can see I've gotten pretty much to where I wanted to. I'm just kind of coasting along with my engines at minimum throttle until I get past the atmosphere, and then I'm going to turn those all the way up. And then eventually I will detach the second stage. However, I am not going for orbit here. I'm just using this rocket to launch Jebediah to Kerbin's North Pole, so that way I can do some experiments there and get some science. And I even do an EVA report on the way there, I think. But yeah, I'm just trying to do everything I can think of to get some points, because I'm pretty sure I was close to unlocking some stuff last episode, but I just didn't have the necessary amount of science, so I'm trying to get that science by doing this. I probably could have just thrown something together and done some experiments on the runway, but I thought this might be more interesting. Although I swear I remember doing that at some point, but maybe I'm wrong, who knows. I don't know, maybe I'm developing dementia, who knows. I wonder what the minimum age somebody has been diagnosed with dementia is, because, I'm sure that's got to be interesting how that happens, because, we usually think of that as an old person disease, right? But anyways, there you can see I am just I think I just put my drogue parachutes on an action group because I forgot to do that in the vehicle assembly building. I don't know what I was doing. But there you can see those deployed, and there you can see I cut the main chute I cut the drogue chutes after the main chute started to unfurl. And so yeah, I'm just running my experiments on the way down. There's not really much to be done because a lot of those aren't even biome sensitive. And there you can see just smashed into the ground, and okay, this one's funny. You start thinking about how you landed here. So it's almost as if they knew that people were going to be sending capsules, because if a plane landed there, it probably wouldn't be, no big deal. Anyways, here you can see Jebediah got some ribbons for research, surface EVAs, I think polar landing and some other stuff. I don't know why I decided to slow down this clip so I could read all of these. I can't even read them. Hold on, is there a way of, making this window bigger? There is? Oh, poggers, okay. Whoa, okay. Why am I stuck on first Kerbin EVA ribbon? I'm concerned. Oh wait, it was nothing. I moved my cursor after a while. But here you can see I go ahead and unlock electrics, which gets me solar panels, and I don't think I'm able to do much else, although I think I go for stability, which gets me the fins, and even more importantly, radial decouplers, which means now I can resort to the classic Kerbal design doctrine of more boosters. And so here I just begin putting solar panels on this thing, and the thing is, I don't even think I'd put this into orbit or even a MUN flyby attempt, which is the end goal of this episode. I think what I used this for was getting science from space high above Kerbin. Yeah, here you can see Endeavour 1 is the name of this rocket. I think I'm just refitting what I've already launched before. But yeah, this rocket is weird, at least in the first stage, because it's kind of like a cross between Ariane 5 and Proton in a way. Proton being this Russian rocket whose first stage consists of like a fuel tank surrounded by like, I don't know how to put this, other fuel tanks with engines on them mounted around it. And like the way that it works is like fuel feeds from like that one fuel tank to all the others. Okay, I said that this was just going to space high above Kerbin, but now I don't know. Because of this weird thing it's doing. I don't understand. Did I think I was going to get to the Mun this way? Yeah, that is very strange, honestly. I don't know why I'm doing this. But yeah, I just realized I don't really need to constantly talk because there's music in this one. And it's not too late for me to put music in the previous episode. I haven't even rendered it yet. But honestly, I can't believe I thought doing that one as a live commentary was a good idea, and I just want to get that video out and have it done with, and then never do that to myself ever again. And yeah, here you can see I'm like putting myself into an orbit. And I just realized this isn't the one where I use the orbital rocket just to get to high above Kerbin. I think I go into an orbit and then I do some maneuvers to make this to where I have like a really high apoapsis. So like it's a weird elliptical orbit that I end up getting myself into. But an orbit nonetheless, and rather than using all of my delta V, what I did is I just set this to like 390 meters per second, and I managed to luck out and have enough delta V left for re-entry and getting back onto Kerbin. Getting back onto Kerbin's surface, that is. Delta V being the change in velocity a rocket can cause, because there's a lot of changing velocity in like trying to move into higher orbits, lower orbits, just generally getting around. Yeah, anyways. You can see Jeb was just, I don't know why he was out there. I don't know what I was doing putting him on EVA like that, but I did. And so there you can see I am now in space high above Kerbin because my Science Here and Now mod has made it clear that there are experiments to be done. And so experiments were done. I say my Science Here and Now mod as if I've made it. I haven't. I don't even know who did make it. And honestly, okay, can I just say I'm surprised how beautiful I've managed to get this game to look with mods. Because like I am running a pretty low-end rig here. It's just a, I mean, as far as the specs that matters from a gaming perspective, I'm just doing all of this off of a Optiplex 7010 with a GT 1030, not a GTX 1030, a GT 1030. So like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I underestimated what that graphics card would be capable of, but I'm just surprised. Now, there's no way this could run something like this one really good visual thing called Astronomer's Visual Pack. And, oh, there you can see Jeb was trying to do an EVA, no wait, what happened was the parachutes got burned on re-entry, so the capsule couldn't be returned. So what I did instead is I had Jebediah go on an EVA, collect the experiments, and then I had him, like, he was supposed to let go, but he kind of just slipped off and then used his personal parachute to safely descend into the ocean. And so that brought this up to 73.5 science, and I have no clue what I spent all of this on. I really don't know. Here you can see first orbital EVA ribbon, a bunch of other stuff. And so now I go into R&D, and I think I noticed the material study hasn't been done in many situations, so I put together something to do that, and I believe this is the one where I use Endeavor 1 to just get into a high suborbit, and I don't even bother with getting into orbit. And I need to quit fidgeting with my leg like that because it makes my jeans make a scratching sound, and then I know my microphone is beyond good enough to pick up on. Honestly, the gain on that thing is ridiculous. Like, it's picked up on noises in other rooms that I could barely hear. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But anyways, here you can see I'm just putting my antennas and my parachute cutting on action groups. And then I go ahead and just remove that cargo bay of stuff since I'm not using it. And so now begins the ascent to this high suborbit, and I thought it would be a good idea to use physics warp. It wasn't. This thing started flipping. I somehow managed to regain control of this rocket, as you will see right about now, it would seem. And yeah. And, you know, I never did figure out where exactly Space High Above Kerbal starts in JNSQ, but I think I have a vague idea of that now. That's right, I could have sworn I turned those on. Well, you'll notice something about this rocket here in a little bit. Any minute now. Okay, deploying the antennas and realizing I'm not high above Kerbal, and then running the engines again. I managed to somehow fly over a new biome, so I went ahead and collected that, and then material study high above Kerbal, collect all, and what that does is that just moves the experiments into the capsule, so it basically renders the experiment return thingy that I've been using to do that pointless, which that's fine by me. I mean, it's always kind of looked out of place. And you'll notice I put some lights on the bottom of this second stage, which I just thought that was a neat thing. It's pointless, it's unrealistic, but I'm pretty sure that can describe half the things you can do in this game, so I really could care less. And Jeb lost consciousness, but not before I was able to tap the spacebar and stage the drogue parachutes, which just deployed there. And so, yeah, Jeb, you know, unblacks out, wakes up, whatever. And, yeah. And so then the main chute's deployed, so I can go ahead and cut the drogues, which I have. And so from here, it's just the slow descent down to the surface. And surprisingly enough, I, haven't been to this biome before, the lowlands. That really surprised me, and so there's research and G-Force ribbons Jeb got for doing this mission. I don't know why I installed FinalFrontier, but I don't know, maybe I'll use that to decide who gets to go to places. And here I unlocked fuel systems and then began work on a new rocket to send Jeb on a flyby of the Mun, and remember how I said now I can finally use the Kerbal doctrine of more boosters when it comes to designing rockets? Well, that's exactly what I'm doing here. I got like those weird R7 looking fuel tanks, but like with those Vesuvius engines, and then like I put another Vesuvius on the core stage, as I'll be calling it. I think it's actually the third, if I remember correctly, because I think it's the solid boosters first, and then the liquids come online, and then finally it's that core stage, whatever you want to call it. And I actually had another design that was able to send Jeb on a flyby, but he wasn't able to slow down enough to not burn up in Kerbal's atmosphere on re-entry, so I kinda just decided to go with something else. So yeah, I'm not going to show that on camera because I don't really like showing failures. I think it's boring and whatnot. And yeah, so I don't know why I'm just standing here like this, just not even moving the camera, but eventually I'll turn that fuel tank black and then this thing will launch. Any minute now. I feel like I'm... Never mind, I don't know. Okay, and so here you can see the solid fueled first stage has lit, and you can see I put lights on the second, or I guess it'd be fourth stage in this case, and I went ahead and just lit the second stage before the first stage went out, and I will be doing the same thing with the third stage, which is actually not using a Vesuvius engine. It is using an engine called the Erebus, which I don't know its designation, but it's actually based off of the engine that the Russians used on a rocket that is most well known for launching what was basically their version of the space shuttle. It only ever flew once. The rocket in question is called Energia, and the shuttle thing in question was named Buran. So basically, I am running on a bootleg space shuttle main engine, a knockoff RS-25, if you will. Although it doesn't have the gimbal capability of the RS-25, so it can't really be used on a shuttle itself unless I'm copying Buran, and I don't even have the Mark III space paint. I do not even have the Mark III spaceplane parts unlocked yet, so I couldn't even do any of that if I wanted to. And then here we have another Russian engine in the form of another one that I don't know the name of its real-life counterpart, and I don't even know the name of its in-game version, but this is the engine that I believe was used on either Vostok or Voskhod, which, like, Vostok was like the first thing that ever sent a person into space, and Voskhod was the Russians' two-seater capsule thing. And here you can see I'm setting up my Mun flyby, and the Mun was an interesting choice, I think, but it was a good one, because I was thinking it would be easier to go on a Mun flyby than a Minmus flyby, because with the Minmus flyby, I would have to be able to haul the fuel in order to deorbit around Kerbal, as where with a Mun flyby, the Mun has enough gravity to set up what is called a free return trajectory, which basically is where you use a gravity assist off of the Mun to deorbit around Kerbal. This is also a trajectory that has been used by real-life rockets in the trajectory. I don't know what you'd call it. I guess trajectory. Most notably, it was used by the Apollo missions, and this came really handy during Apollo 13 whenever the service module exploded and they didn't really have a good way of getting back to Earth, so they were already going to fly by the moon and... Alright, so I have completely lost my train of thought, but I believe I was talking about the engine on the second stage, and what all it was used for, and I believe it was also used for some of the Luna probes, at least their transfer stage. But yeah, and I guess this brings me back to that thing about using the American flag on rockets that are using just absolutely non-American engines. Although it's not really that unrealistic if you think about it, because, like, I mean, Antares uses that one engine that, it's called the AJ something or another, but it's basically based off of the NK-33, which was used on Russia's N-1 rocket. That was their attempt to build a launch vehicle capable of launching a moon mission, and it never worked. It blew up every time they test launched it. And there's also the RD-180, which was used on the Atlas V, and I say was used because although these launches have yet to happen, ULA has actually announced they have sold the last of their Atlas V launches. So I guess, I don't know, Vulcan will probably be replacing the Atlas V spot, but yeah. Here's all of Jeb's ribbons. Apparently he got one for the rocket having 10% of its fuel being SRBs, or 10% or more. But yeah, I don't know what all I unlocked. I can't seem to make up my mind here, and I've froze again. How strange. Yeah, okay, I'm just sitting there. Did I even unlock anything? What am I doing? I thought I had less footage than this. Okay. Alright, so remember earlier when I said I did some science thing on the runway that I couldn't remember if I actually did or not? I think this is it. And what I was doing when I was sitting there was I was trying to figure out the difference between like 131 and the amount of science needed to unlock both those engines and construction stuff, so I could get struts. But anyways, with that all being said, that is the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like. If you have anything to say about it, then please comment down below. I am open to criticism, and if you just want to say whatever in the comments, go ahead. I mean, I'm a pretty big proponent of free speech. If that's, I don't even know what the word proponent means. I assume it means someone who supports something. But yeah, let's see, what else do I usually say at the end of these? Oh yeah, and if you want to hear about it every time I upload, then please do consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That is all from me for now. Goodbye.